If this is not madness on steroids, I don't know what is. So, reports have it that Davido just fully acquired Rolls-Royce Spectre 2024 and it arrives Nigeria. And then Nigerians are debating the price. Is that a clip of Davido's new electric car? A clip of Davido's new electric car has been cited on social media and left many in awe of the class it oozes. Class it oozes. We'll get into that very quickly. It was claimed that the singer parted with 629 billion naira, which became a debate amongst fans in the comment section. Who is? And you know, many times we have a tendency to discuss what does not directly, positively or negatively impact us. 629 billion. How many $billion would that be? That would mean that one of the Rolls Royce would be like $1 billion, which is not. A Rolls Royce is no more than $1.1 million. Starting price is $780 million. And then you can add other things, blah, 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 and then it comes to about $1,100,000. And that's where it gets crazy. We'll get into that very shortly. How crazy it is, because when you do the conversion into Naira, then you'll understand some of the things that I'm going to say here in this video. If it is not madness on steroids, I don't know what is. Is that the white wonder on wheels was being driven in a container that would take it to its final destination. No, I don't want to read all of that. So the video of the new whip was cited online and it sparked debate, right? That's not what I wanted to bring. No? Okay. Now, this is what I wanted to read. It said, Davido's car shipped in a container. In the recording, the white car was driven into a container. It had 2 doors and oozed class and wealth. Is it class and wealth that it oozes, or stupidity and madness? Many of our leaders, and if you don't know, Davido is one of our leaders, our entertainment leaders. Remember I said there are 7 categories of leaders. Political leaders, entertainment leaders, religious leaders, traditional leaders, media leaders, educational leaders, and business leaders. So Davido is one of our leaders. Now, when our leaders engage in activities like this, and you begin to read reports like this, then you know that really we have a problem, a very big one. And we cannot even begin to solve the problem if we don't understand what the problem is. Why would we call this what they are calling it? That the white car was driven into a container and it had 2 doors and it oozed class and wealth. No, it didn't ooze class and wealth. It oozed stupidity and madness. Before now, I had said that everybody who drives a Rolls Royce is going to hell. I still maintain it. But I want to add on top of it today. Everybody who drives a Rolls Royce is either stupid or mad or both of them. And at the end, they will still go to hell. It is time we call a spade a spade. We cannot continue to allow activities like this to destroy our value system. This is not class. This is not wealth. This is bait. Can't you guys see? The other day, it was Pastor Deboye that came online on what is supposed to be a church program to defend Oyedepo. And he said that people were complaining that they gave Oyedepo 2 Rolls Royce on his 70th birthday. And he was now drawing an analogy that which one is better. Because if you are poor, they will say, where is your God? And if you are rich and you have Rolls Royce, they will say, why is it you? That people will talk in any case. That which do you prefer? That he will choose Rolls Royce. See, it's not that anybody is angry that you're driving an expensive car. That's not it. And I know that it's not only Oyedepo that does that. Even the Adeboye too has the Rolls Royce. Fatoyinbo has Rolls Royce. Traditional rulers too, like the Oni of Ife has Rolls Royce. So many others. Entertainers. So, to show that you have arrived, to ooze class and wealth, you buy Rolls Royce? Really? What has happened to our leaders? Look, can't you all see that you are being used? This Rolls Royce is a bait. It's to appeal to the greed in you. And it goes beyond even the greed. It goes beyond the greed. It goes to advertise corruption. Because nobody that is hardworking can buy this. It's only if you benefit from corruption. And I maintain that statement. You can underline that statement. Only people, let me take this out. Only people who benefit, whether directly or indirectly from corruption, can afford this. So when you brandish this, what you're essentially doing is you're doing an advert for people to be corrupt. And that is why for the religious leaders, it is, let me take this off too. It is disturbing, to say the least. Can't you guys see that they are baiting you? They are baiting you. What they did to our forefathers during the era of the slave trade is what they are doing to you today. During the era of the slave trade, it was mirror, whiskey, powder. What else? Wrapper? I don't know. You can tell me. And he said, our forefathers were given these items and they sold our brothers and sisters into slavery, the very best of us. Can't you guys see that what they did to those our forefathers then is what they are doing to you? They are baiting you with this so-called class and wealth. Can't you guys see the dangers in what you're doing? Why would somebody who is an African, why would somebody who is a Nigerian buy a Rolls Royce? Why? To oppress the people? What economic advantage does it bring to Nigeria? Can't you guys realize that for every Rolls Royce you buy, you are creating at least 1 million unemployment? You are shipping at least 1 million jobs away out of Nigeria, out of Africa. You're shipping it to UK. You're shipping it to Europe. That's what you're doing with your purchase of the Rolls Royce. Nobody's against you driving an expensive car. If you had bought a Nord, at least there are knockoff versions of these Rolls Royce that are made by Nord. There are knockoff versions of these ones that are made by Innocent. Those ones are made in Nigeria. If this car were to be a made in Nigerian car, even though as of today it is still just an assembly plant, it would have gone a long way to create jobs for Nigerians. So to people like Adeboye, people like the Oni of Ife, people like Davido Oyedepo, people like, who else again? The Sultan? I don't know if he has one. Anybody who drives a Rolls Royce, of course, all the music celebrities that think that it oozes class and wealth to buy a Rolls Royce. You are working against Africans. You're working against the Nigerian people. You are creating joblessness. You are creating unemployment. You are shipping our jobs away. That's what you're doing. And I repeat it, it is madness. It is not class. It is not wealth. It is madness. To shock you, how much money does a Davido have compared to a Mark Zuckerberg? Compared to a Warren Buffett? Compared to a Bill Gates? You don't see them wasting money on this. You see, even this 2024, is it 2025, Rolls-Royce Spectre, it's not the first that Davido has. So let's even say that he's bought the first one. What does he need the second one, or a third one, or a fourth one for? That car is $1 million. That is 17 billion naira for one. Now, if you add all the Rolls Royces in Nigeria together, everybody who owns Rolls Royces, we're talking about at least only Rolls Royce. Only Rolls Royce. We're talking about 1 to 2 trillion naira. Only Rolls Royce. And the funny thing is that, or the sad thing, is that the people who own this Rolls Royce have other very expensive cars before the Rolls Royce. So, it means that close to 4 trillion naira goes into purchasing these exotic cars. 4 trillion naira. Do you know what that would do to the Nigerian economy? I mean, we're not saying come and dash the money to Nigerians. We're saying instead of buying these Rolls Royces and Jaguar and Lamborghinis and Ferraris, instead of buying them, why not invest that money in Nigeria? Behave like a Warren Buffett. Behave like a Bill Gates. Behave like a Mark Zuckerberg. Behave like these people. Why not put the money together and set up a manufacturing plant in Nigeria? A Nigerian car made in Nigeria that will create jobs for Nigerians. Why not do that? And don't come and tell me, oh, he has the right to spend his money the way he wants. No, it's not his money. It is our money. We contributed that money to him. It's called other people's money. And there are ways to get it. You can get it by offerings. You can get it by music. You can get it by entertainment. It's other people's money. It is our money. And if you got that money from us, hell, you should spend that money in our interests. Everybody, anybody who drives a Rolls Royce, a Ferrari, a Lamborghini in Nigeria is either mad or stupid, and that person is going to hell. It doesn't matter how highly placed that person is, because they fail to see the harm they are doing to the Nigerian people. They fail to see the harm they are doing to the Nigerian people. So, you reporters too, you have a problem. What we eulogize, what we celebrate, determines how people are inspired in a country, in a society. In a society where armed robbers are celebrated, people want to be armed robbers. In a country where corruption is celebrated, people want to be corrupt. In a country where terrorists are celebrated, people want to become a terrorist. So we must be careful what we celebrate. That Davido bought a Rolls-Royce Spectre should not be celebrated. He should be told exactly what he has done. It's madness. And unless he changes his way, he's going to hell. Like other people before him, like the other pastors, like the traditional rulers, every one of them. Anybody who drives a Rolls Royce, you are going to hell. It doesn't matter whether you are a Pastor Adeboye, whether you are a Pastor Fatoyinbo, whether you are a Pastor Adeboye, it doesn't matter. Because what you're doing, you're feeding greed. You're going to hell. And you're not oozing wealth or class. You're not oozing the blessings of God. You're oozing corruption and greed. Godliness with contentment is what the Bible preaches. Let us come back to those days. Let us come back to those days. Do you know what 4 trillion naira for exotic cars would do for the Nigerian agricultural sector? At least one of the low-hanging fruits for Nigerians, one of the comparative advantages, if we are even to consider that we have in Nigeria, even though the global north, they don't consider their own comparative advantages. So they look at any of the advantages. What they don't have, they look at how they can steal it from us and go and be processing it over there. So let's not even go too deep. Let's just even look at the lowest hanging fruits, right? And then we say agriculture, because agriculture can employ every Nigerian. Agriculture can solve the problem of unemployment in Nigeria. Agriculture is the only way to increase our production to the extent that we bring down the prices of goods and services, particularly through reduction in the prices of food. We can solve inflation in Nigeria through agriculture. So, do you know what 4 trillion naira would do to Nigeria's agricultural sector if we deploy that 4 trillion to come up with homegrown agricultural solutions? Do you know? Today, many of our youths cannot go into poultry. They cannot go into fishing. They cannot go into crop production because it is capital intensive. They just don't have the capital to start. And then with this 4 trillion, we can set up hubs. It doesn't even have to be free. We can set up hubs, encourage people to come in, get the seeds, get the day-old chicks, the hatching plant, the feeding production plant, get those things, homegrown solutions. Get the fingerlings and all that. And then get the tractors. We can homegrown them. 4 trillion naira can set us on a path to industrialization. Get Ajaokuta steel working. Get Alaja steel working. Get all of these things up and running. Steel rolling mill in Katsina, in Jos, in Oshogbo, Nigerian Machine Tools, Defense Industry Company, Daikon. All of this. 4 trillion naira will do a lot of things. And yet this is what our leaders spend on buying exotic cars that they don't need. That's a sad thing. The shameful thing. Exotic cars that they do not need. And then somebody is supposed to be clapping for this. No, I won't clap. But it doesn't matter how many of you come to battle. I will air my mind. And my voice must be heard. Una no one hear am. Una must hear am. Anybody that drives a Rolls Royce in Nigeria is going to hell. And they are not oozing wealth. They are not oozing class. They are oozing their stupidity. They are oozing their madness. 4 trillion naira in agriculture in Nigeria. With 4 trillion naira, we can set the food and social welfare scheme in motion. Let me even say this. This is why luxury tax will be a fantastic source of revenue for our social welfare fund. Anybody who has to buy a Rolls Royce, you want to spend 16 billion to buy a Rolls Royce that you don't need, that will put pressure on our dollar, on our naira, that will create unemployment here, no problem. We charge you 100% of the cost. So if you have to buy a Rolls Royce, then you must contribute 100% of that Rolls Royce to the National Social Welfare Fund. And then we can now use that to drive agriculture, and we can now use that to provide food to Nigerians. So if you want to part away with 17 billion naira to buy a Rolls Royce, then be ready to part away with the same 17 billion naira to support those who cannot feed themselves. If no one gets sense, we go teach you sense. Nigerians, wake up. The link is in the description. The Food and Social Welfare Bill that we must force on the National Assembly is there. Contribute your quota to it. And don't forget to support us financially. We need to motivate and how do you do it now? Remunerate those, compensate those who go out on the field to do this work. We have to sensitize the people. This is the organization we need. This money will help to get our youth to work, at least from the agricultural sector. Then we consider the online sector, then we consider the industrialization sector. Those three critical sectors. It will help us. So look in the link in the description and join us. Please, now.